Wait a second. Oh, gotcha. Hey, guys, good morning. The show before the show. That's what we got going on. Putting everything together right now. Wait a second. All right. Hope everybody's doing all right today, Thursday, June 29th.
My grandbaby is 10 months old today.
Oh my gosh.
Time flies.
You're counting months.
Yes,
That's
counting
what grandparents
months.
do.
Yes. I'm an obnoxious grandma. I'll admit it. I will admit it. Paul, you're right. Every day is a gift.
Let's see here. Hey, good morning, everybody. Hi, Karen. Hi, Angie. Hey, Michelle and Paul. Good morning to you guys. Sherry, Trisha, of course. Jerry. I think we're getting Facebook users. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday, Ben. Of course, part of the duo that owns Wenty's. That's again today from 2 to 5. By the way, at Wenty's in the Chesterfield Valley for people who want to go over there and check that out, as filming will be going on as America's Best Restaurants in town shooting video at Wenty's. They're also giving away two $25 gift cards to there today. So from 2 to 5 o'clock, they'll be there. By the way, that America's Best Restaurants coming in, it's a 2-day deal. So they're coming in, shooting. They might be shooting another restaurant or two in town. Hi, Kathy. Good morning to you. Okay.
I feel sorry for people who don't have air conditioning. It's going to be a hot one.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out. Well, it's hot in the Missouri area. It's hot around the country.
Yeah, it's hot almost everywhere in America.
That's for certain. 4th of July weekend coming up.
Fun.
By the way, we're going to figure out something. We won't be here Tuesday and maybe Monday. We might. I don't even know when we'd have time to tape anything. I mean, I saw the text and I tried. When would we tape it?
I'm down for whatever. Just give me a little bit of notice.
I think maybe stay in after the show a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah.
It gives everybody warning. We can put a few things together for Monday at least.
Yeah, if everybody can do it, yeah.
And Projo, you can sing the national anthem on Tuesday.
Hi,
just in
Kimberly.
repeat. Okay. Would that be good?
Sure.
Joanna,
Okay.
good to see you. Bendy, hi there. Joe, good morning. Let's see.
Everybody loves my singing voice.
And friends, even before the real part of the show starts, please like the show. That helps our algorithms. Also, of course, send one maybe to a friend as a private message or as a text, someone that maybe has never heard it and either doesn't get all the cancel culture yet or does, and you think they would think it's fun. Either way, send it to someone.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody jumping in this morning.
Yes, John, you're right. If you have an elderly neighbor or something, today's the day you probably want to check in on them.
Trisha says cleaning an auto repair shop kitchen is a dirty job, but someone has to do it.
They've got so much going on.
Oh my god.
Trisha and her husband with their new house and the hotel and obviously now
I didn't
the
know about
kitchen
a
cleaning.
hotel.
Yeah, they're living in a hotel right now.
Oh, they're living. I thought you meant they
Yes.
were buying a hotel.
They're living in a hotel. I can relate to that. I lived in a hotel.
I did too, a bunch of times.
Yeah. Sold our house real quick and long story, but had to live in a hotel. You kind of feel homeless a little bit because you don't have an address. It's just kind of weird. Fun, but weird.
Let's see what we got here. All right. It feels like a Friday to me today.
You're already wishing your life away, Vic.
I don't know if we're going to get into it much today or not, but because we talked about it so much. We've had a break for a while, but Bud Light has now quadrupled down. Their CEO came out the other day and said that they're still going to support LGBTQ, transgender movement and activism. I was like, okay, be who you be.
Right.
That's fine. Just understand that
there's consequences.
Yeah, there is. Jared, there's been 10 people who've died in rip currents in the Florida Panhandle in the last 2 weeks.
No.
If anybody's traveling, be careful.
Wow.
Ryan Mallett, a former NFL quarterback, died 2 days ago. Big, strong dude, but it had nothing to do with the rip current. At first, they thought it had something to do with the rip current, but it didn't. But 10 others down in the Florida Panhandle and Alabama area, when they get into that area, it's the rip currents so bad. 10 people. Something to not take for granted, that's for sure.
Yeah, I knew a guy that he went into a riptide thinking he could be just fine, and then the next day he jumped into a pool of sharks. People are crazy. I mean, there's just some things that nature is going to win, and you're not. So just be careful. And Bindy's saying her son got caught in a rip current 11 years ago, and it was terrifying. I think you said that was in Gulf Shores, didn't you, Bindy?
Yeah. I also, it's like one other thing. I was Clay Travis he's terrific. He does a lot of media stuff. I can't think of his Outkick the coverage, or I'm trying to remember the name of his site. Anyway, if you tweet anything, I mean, there are so many nasty people.
There really are.
I've tried to stay away from Twitter. It has not changed with Elon.
Yeah.
Literally. People will come after you. Clay Travis tweeted yesterday, 25% of 40-year-olds have never married. That in itself blew me away.
Wow. How many? 25%.
Of
wow.
American 40-years have never married.
Wow. That's a big
In 1980,
margin.
it was just 6%. So, and then he goes into, there's lots of focus now on climate change and things of that. But he says he feels the biggest danger humanity faces is we aren't having enough kids. Human population is on track to collapse in decades. And it is. We don't have an overpopulation. We don't.
No, we don't. We do not.
And then he showed a graph. And I tweeted, I said, well said, Clay. And then some jackass, and of course, one of those keyboard warrior type of people, responded to my tweet. Oh, yeah, here he says, in other words, Vic, you're saying there's not enough white babies being born. Just come out and say it. Those are the racist people.
They are racist.
And by the way, it's not called reverse racism. There's one racism. It's all racism.
Correct.
It's all babies though, too.
Yeah.
It's all babies. Yeah.
This just goes to show. I mean, there's just idiots. There's just idiots out there. It's this mob mentality.
Yes.
they're just looking, they're trolling because their lives suck so bad.
Yes.
And they've been hurt so bad by people
Mm-hmm.
that they just want to attack anybody. Be kind, be nice.
Right.
Or
Don't
they
try to
just
go after people.
or they
Don't
just
try to
wanna
incite. Don't try to do those
assume
things. What's that, buddy?
they just assume that, that's how you feel, and that's literally them projecting their own feelings.
Yeah, I'm just,
Right.
it's like,
Well, Vic, and the reason why I think there's 25% that are not having children is there is a lot of
no, not married.
Oh, not married. Okay, well maybe they are having children then. You're right. Okay, married.
We're having kids. We're just not getting married.
Right. Okay. But
All right.
yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I forgot about that. That was a note. I was like, it just goes to show. Yeah, this guy, Brian E. Weaver on Twitter, and apparently we follow each other. So I just responded in a kind manner. I said, nope, we clearly need all kinds of babies! Exclamation point, exclamation point. I said, have an awesome day with a smiley face.
Yeah.
It's literally anytime you respond to anything, somebody can.
They do. And then they're shocked. And it kind of shuts them up if you just respond, have a good day or have a nice life or whatever. Otherwise, they're going to keep going on and on and on. Yes. You can just see them in their basement screaming and pulling
How
their hair
somebody
out.
gets that. Those are the people who try to promote racism.
Correct.
And hate.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway, let's go into the show. It's a Thursday. Jill, let's pop it. Let's get it going. Welcome into Cancel This. It's Thursday, canceltheshow.com. I'm Vic Faust, Lizzie Sparks alongside. Projo running the boards. Tabitha said she would be in just a couple minutes. She was, I'm stuck behind a big truck. And of course, the next thing is, I hate those drivers on the highway.
Drivers are bad.
That she's become a grandma and becomes a grandma more and more by the minute. Anyway, she rocks and rolls in. Good morning, Tabitha. We appreciate you being here.
Tabitha,
I am not a grandma.
No, she's not a grandma yet. The only grandma is me.
True. And I'm not a grandma other than that kind of grandma too.
Right. There you go.
Tabitha's in. Vic Faust. Glad you guys are here today. Coming up in about 25 minutes or so, Steve King, Metro Shooting Supply owner, talk about gun safety over the 4th of July holiday weekend. His first episode last week with you guys was massive, getting lots, and I mean lots of hits on our social media channels when he actually breaks down gun issues. Because whether you're for or against guns or having guns or A2 rights or conceal and carry, you need to have some educated conversations about it. And there's nobody better than Steve King. And that goes anybody in America. The guy's amazing. That's why we have him on this show. He'll be back in at about 8:30 in studio. Coming up at 9, Nicole Jenkins. She's got Veterans Advantage urgent care. Only urgent care that takes care of veterans that we know of in the country. She was very heavily involved in St. Louis politics. She sees that things have not gotten better in St. Louis because things have to get worse before they get better, because they were allowed to get to such a bad point. Hopefully she'll be calling out some politicians today, because she wants to talk, number one, about how mentally and emotionally people in St. Louis are torn down now, but how it's hurting us physically, all the crime that continues to happen. And there's really no plan in place. And, you've got a police chief who's been coming here and leaving, and then it falls on the mayor. Mayor's got to do something. Absolutely, she has to do something, because reimagining crime all over the country has not worked. Not only in St. Louis, it hasn't worked in Chicago. It hasn't worked in New York, homelessness on the West Coast, and Atlanta, all the usual suspects. You have those problems going on. She'll be here at that point in time. So we'll get into all of that. We love it as you're part of this interactive show, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, and all the time on our website, canceltheshow.com. And if you haven't had a chance to check out our guest, we had 2 major national guests to start the week out. If you haven't had a chance to catch them or see them, Grover Nyquist, go check him out. He was amazing when it comes to talking tax, anything. The guy is untouched. He was absolutely amazing. John Rourke, who does cleanup at the border. Nobody better to talk about border safety, border cleanup. What's happening right now? Not what happened maybe even 3 years ago. what's happening now? What's happened in the last month, the last year? John Rourke, our border guy, nobody better. Grateful that he joined us, and we're going to have him back on. He's like, just let me know when. You have a topic, let me know when. That's the kind of badass response that we love. Check out that stuff as well. Okay, with that being said, we've got a lot of issues going on in this country right now. And Tabitha, I know you just walked in. I saw a report that came out, so I think I saw it on Fox, where Biden economics, and Trump ripped it yesterday. Bidenomics has now cost each family $10,000.
Yes.
Just by his, and it's supposed to get worse in 2024. And then we hear rumors of recessions. And then we see what's happening with inflation, and we talk about interest rates going up. And unfortunately, the Biden administration has not put us in a better situation. We're in a worse situation. And if you're doing better, feel free. Join us on the show to let us know how everything is so much better. Reality is it's not. And then we can speculate about recessions, but then you come across information. So Pro Joe, we're going to start today with Tab getting things going with our Thursday, June 29th Tab Take.
Tab's Take.
Yesterday, this is so crazy. HSBC, one of the largest banks in the world, made an announcement, and they said, and they're located in Britain, what they said was it is absolutely imminent that the United States begins a major recession within just a couple of weeks from now. A major recession. I think all of us know we're already in a recession, aren't we? But the difference is that Joe Biden, if you guys recall, he changed the definition of recession. It's one of the first things he did when he stepped into office. We're already in a recession.
For sure.
And now the world is waking up and they're saying, you know what? As much as we would like to think there's going to be some light at the end of the tunnel, we're actually going to potentially, just like Kathy Helbig and Steve Strick said yesterday, we have a long, bumpy road ahead of us. This is not going to end anytime soon. HSBC Bank saying not only is it imminent that the United States ends up in a major recession, but they also claim that by next year, we're going to pull Europe down with us. Now, of course, nobody wants to mention the fact that how much money are we giving to Ukraine, us and Europe? As a matter of fact, Britain, parts of the UK, they're actually in a position right now where they're at a negative GDP for the first time in history, a negative GDP. Why? Because we're all giving all of our money to Russia. Now we're getting ready to give $15 billion to Poland so that Poland can strengthen their borders. We're getting ready to start getting money together because guess what we want to do now that Belarus has nuclear weapons sent to them as a nice, pretty package from Russia, we want to replace their government. You know, how easy is that going to be? How much money is that going to cost us? You know, we were saying, we need a democracy in Belarus. And, as soon as we start saying we need a democracy in another country, I think we all know where we're heading.
We're in big trouble.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, don't you guys think we're already in a recession? How much worse can it get? And apparently the answer is a lot worse.
It just depends on how worse. We're talking about the degrees of recession, depression, whatever you want to call. When the inflation is as high as it is right now, that scares the hell out of me. Interest rates going up, something's going to have to give. That's the problem. You may be making the same amount of money that you did before. Who knows? Maybe you've had your wages cut. I don't know. But when the prices continue to go up.
Exactly. And
it's a massive issue. And when you talked about doing this tab stake, it made me immediately think, okay, not only do we have our personal issues, we continue to have train derailments. We continue to have bridges collapse. We continue to have an infrastructure, not only in the state of Missouri, which Governor Parson has tried to go after hard, but across the country, as you've talked about several times, Tabitha, with no money. There's no money for
there's no money.
Yet we continue to have crazy ass social programs that we don't need, and then send all kinds of money across seas, specifically to the example that you just talked about, to a money trap, a money pit of Ukraine, where most Americans, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, are clueless, don't care. just love their own little situation until they go to the bank and there's no money. Then people may start to wake up and go, oh, you did what? We're sending money there? That's the problem that we have.
Money, weapons, and what happens during, let's say, a recession, particularly a major recession? You know what happens? Companies cut hours.
Yes.
Companies cut back. They let staff go. So we end up with a really high unemployment rate. We end up with a high unemployment rate. Prices continue to go up. The dollar continues to go down. And what ends up happening? Overinflation. We're already at a period of overinflation, aren't we?
I don't know. I mean,
I think, of course, we are.
I think we're absolutely in a period of overinflation.
I do too. Look at the cost of meat and bread
I just spent $50 on 3 pounds of deli meat.
Yep.
Oh,
there
crazy,
you go.
crazy.
The meat prices are
We
absolutely
talked about that last week. The $1 steak that I showed that was the size of my hand.
Sky high,
Yes.
$18, $19, $20 a pound, even at
Correct.
stores like Walmart or Aldi. I mean, where can you go now? People are talking about, how are we going to feed our families? People are losing their jobs, and it's going to continue to roll down that hill.
Well,
So
on this show,
this major recession is the new definition of depression. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
absolutely
It
is.
feels almost like we're in a depression. When you go into Aldi, which is basically the cheapest place you can get any food, the bread is double. The canned goods are 30 cents more. You can't buy even half the amount of what you could buy before.
Exactly. We're already in a recession. So when they say a
Yes.
major recession is coming, that means a depression
Absolutely.
is coming. There's no question about that, Joe. And it concerns me because you know what this is all about? It is another attack on the middle class. It's
Well, of course it is.
another attack on the because a recession or a depression typically does not affect the highest wage earners. It typically does not affect the people who already make the most amount of money in this country, or it at least affects them a lot less. But a depression or a recession hits a lot harder to the middle
class, for sure.
It's not a good situation,
Absolutely
but
hurts
Robert,
middle
I do
class.
agree with you. As Robert wanted to remind us, he says prices are not going up. He says the dollar's going down.
Well, but that's not necessarily. I love Robert and I agree with everything he says. But how can we say prices aren't going up?
They are going up
when we see them going up.
No, we see, and I understand your point, Robert. I do.
And the dollar is worth what I say this all the time: 38% less,
correct,
than what it
Both
was in the
things are
80s.
happening. Both.
And that's why we're in such a bad position because both things are happening.
Yes.
We have overinflation, we have the dollar losing value, and we do see prices going up on some items.
And we do love the interaction that we have with the show as part of this podcast, the live aspect that we do on a daily basis. And Aaron, I think you hit the nail on the head. When the dollar is no longer the reserve currency,
yes,
we're going to be in a depression or a worse situation.
You better believe it.
Correct.
Not even sure we have a word for it. Which is scary.
Right.
And we're not trying to scare people. We try to get out ahead of things. We try to bring and talk about the stories that you need to hear, not the cookies and lemonade, poolside, sunshine, rainbows, and everything else all of the time that you'll see with other situations. We try to bring it on and then try to find solutions.
Well, now we have a major world bank bringing it up. I'm sorry, Joe.
I was just going to say we got to be careful about how we use the D word because we could get censored for that eventually.
Oh my
You're
God.
right, Joe. You're right.
Joe, don't give anybody any ideas. Come on.
And I don't think
everything's great with Joe Biden. Everything's wonderful.
Bidenomics.
Everything's wonderful. It's just sad that there's so many lost people in the dark that would still want to keep the same administration around and doing the same things because they're just their pride or uneducated or have their head in the sands. We're dealing with this crap right now. It's not getting any better. Unfortunately, it is getting worse. If you look at the situations, things are not better. Things have gotten worse. There's no way to make excuses about it and say, well, everything's going to be fine. No, it's not. It's not. Now, has it really affected everyday life? Is it affecting your life this holiday weekend? I don't know. Most of the people I know, it's not changing their life tons. It does go after the middle class. Hell, as I just looked down, Diane says dog food is double or tripled.
She's right. She's absolutely right.
It's tripled. Kevin says,
so.
What build back better? It's actually build back broker.
Right.
Yes, for sure.
But people want to talk about social issues. It's we need to focus on social. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We get it. When the money's gone and people are struggling and life has changed from that standpoint, it always takes center stage. Give me a break.
we're supposed to ignore it, aren't we?
Yeah, we're
As
supposed to ignore
Americans,
it.
we're supposed to ignore the high prices.
We're supposed to ignore the prices.
Yes.
And
the value of the dollar going down. But how can we, even other people, and as a matter of fact, what was his name? Orban, the president of Hungary, made a tweet yesterday. It was really funny, actually. And in his tweet, he said, we're supposed to be on a 7-year budget. Where did the money go? He said, 2 years into a 7-year budget, we're out of money.
Well, we're dealing with that situation. And Projo, if you could, pop up Joe Biden's soundbite, if you could, really quick. The one where we're talking about the money issues we've got going on in this country, inflation. And then you have a man, an alleged leader, who doesn't know really who Putin is. He doesn't know what war Putin is in. And this is who the Democrats voted for right here. This, ladies and gentlemen, is your picture of leadership. Democrats, this is you. This is on you. Wear it, own it. You're responsible.
President Biden, how involved were you in your son's Chinese shakedown text message? Were you sitting there?
That's not the right one, Joe. Try again, Joe. Try again. Sorry.
But
we'll get that back up. That was him saying, no, that's him losing his mind. We'll show that one in a second. Joe Biden literally doesn't know where he is. We talk about this. Here you go. Here it is.
It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a fly around the world.
Love the music.
He's losing the war in Iraq. Isn't that funny?
Oh,
can you play it one more time, Joe?
Do it again.
Wow. Biden on Putin.
It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a fly around the world.
Man. Oh. And while our inflation is sky high and we have leading analysts talking about recessions, depressions, this guy is talking about Putin losing the war in Iraq.
He has no idea what's going on.
Democrats, that is on you. Where are you, Democrats? You voted for that idiot.
They selected him is what they did.
Right, they selected him.
They selected him. I wouldn't say voted. They selected him. And there was one yesterday. You guys have probably all seen it where Biden stands on the stage and he says, God save the queen.
Yeah.
And he's like pointing.
Well, we played that last week.
And then I'm like, what in the world is wrong with him?
Right. What is wrong with him?
And then you guys played a clip the other day when I wasn't here, but people kept messaging me about it, where Biden said who did he give documents to? That he gave documents to someone?
No.
It's like, what in the world?
No, that was Monday.
Is he doing?
He said he sold state secrets.
Yeah.
I've sold state secrets.
And he's admitting it. And I mean, he did do that. But I mean, here's the thing too. He's such a moron, but also they're arrogant on his fluid moments. If he's around, him and his son are arrogant about it. Like, I can do whatever I want
because they can.
Because they can.
They have and they will.
Right. Yep. You hit the nail on the head. They're going to do whatever they want to and rub your face in it.
Yes,
Vic,
they are.
Eric,
and
they're going to rub our face.
But he's getting angry too. Joe, can we play that soundbite that we were going to show? I mean, Eric talked about the Hunter Biden situation yesterday. It was so bad. I mean, there's so much crap surrounding him. It just goes on and on and on, and it's starting to affect that guy. There's your hero, Democrats. There he is. There's your vision of your hero.
President Biden, how involved were you in your son's Chinese shakedown text message? Were you sitting there? Were you involved?
No, I wasn't. And I don't.
Were you?
No.
Getting frustrated.
He's an idiot.
He is an idiot.
No.
He is an absolute
I've never,
idiot.
it's you don't want to get to the lowest level of having to use a name, but my God,
There's nothing else to explain him for.
This is all this week. It's this week.
I don't feel bad for saying it. I do not feel bad for saying he's an idiot.
It's the truth because he is. He's an arrogant idiot.
Arrogant idiot.
An arrogant idiot.
Right.
And that's the worst.
I don't know why this Drew Collins guy likes Biden so much.
He does.
I mean, Drew, this guy was a complete 1,000,000% racist back in the 70s and the 80s.
Yes.
He hung around with the most racist senators on the
Yes.
planet. You know his stripes are not going to change.
Correct.
I just don't get why a Drew Collins, who is so advocate about white, privilege and all this and the racial bull garbage.
Yes.
How do you, this is your opportunity, Drew, to go and literally just submarine this cat, go find out what the Democrats should be all over. The Democratic media should be all over him to get him out of the way.
Correct.
Because this is your opportunity to go get an AOC, to go get a Gavin Newsom, to go get a.
It may still happen.
No, you better start now.
They can't run that.
No, you better hurry up.
Whatever it is.
Look, you are in the.
Can't run by.
You're in turn 4 right now. You better hurry the hell up.
That's a good analogy.
But I'm telling
why
you,
do they
I
have
just
to do
don't
it different, Eric?
understand. Why does Drew Collins? Why does he champion this guy?
Because Democrats will always back their candidate.
This is your chance right now.
He's
You can have
doubling
anybody.
down.
I thought
He's doubling
Tabitha
down
was
on
going to use her
stupidity.
2 words for Democrat to describe Drew.
A mental illness.
Yes.
It is a mental illness. When you see the destruction
Drew, we love you.
of your
Drew,
country,
you can come by anytime. We'll take you in.
No,
we'll
Drew-
help you. We can nurse you back to health if at all possible.
It's
my
just there's
friend.
no common sense on his part. I understand that he wants to be uber liberal cat, but he doesn't make sense doing
he's
it.
been brainwashed.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's unfortunate.
Brainwashing.
I mean, I'll be the first one that came on this show and said, look, I like Trump's policies, but I'm done with the lack of decorum in the office, man. Get DeSantis in there. Didn't I say that?
No,
You did
I was
say
talking
that.
about
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I like a guy that when he walks in, it looks like a president. It sounds
Even
like a
when he
president.
sells you out from behind, that's all you care about is that it looks and sounds like a
Sells
president.
you out from behind. That's like a weekend for you.
Yes, sometimes it is.
Anyway.
Oh,
I kept waiting for the sound drop on that one, or 2 of our sound drops.
yeah, we got a few sound drops for sure.
Yeah. It's funny.
And no offense again to you, Eric, because you're a good guy, but I'm so tired of hearing people say, I want somebody in the White House that looks and acts like a president.
What's wrong with that?
That looks and acts
What's
like
wrong
a
with that?
president. If they're actually presidential and they're creating
What's wrong with
good
DeSantis?
policies,
What's wrong with DeSantis?
then great. But
What's wrong with DeSantis?
Trump is the devil, we know, right? Like him or not.
That's
We know
unfair.
who he is. We know his policies. That's why he's leading in the polls. I like DeSantis. I really do. But you can't convince me that DeSantis isn't a sellout.
Well,
Only time will
whatever.
tell.
To what degree?
Only
to what
time will
degree,
tell.
though?
well, we got to get somebody in the office that can freaking try to fix the economy. The economy's not good.
Well, first of all, go the economy. First,
Biden
here's
and
this.
KJP
This is-
keep trying to say, there's tons
No.
of jobs out there.
No, stop. The economy is.
Oh.
We talked about this 2 years ago. Here's the deal. This is a product of what they did in COVID. I'm sorry, it just is. The economy was cruising along. COVID came, whether it was natural or if it was fake or whatever it was, and then all of a sudden, ports of entry came to a close. I told Vic this. I go, everybody looked around and goes, oh, prices are going up. Remember that?
Yep.
And I go, Vic, you can't get a PS5 anymore because they're
you're
not
right.
making them anymore because
Right.
the world just shut down. This has ramifications that go way beyond COVID. We talked about that 2.5 years ago. This is what we're reeling from right now still. I'm afraid to tell
You
you.
mean they were making them, they just weren't shipping them?
Well,
here.
I remember he wanted to buy one for his son. And I was like, well, go buy one then. They're only $400 at Best Buy. No, they're not.
Never did get one.
No, they're not.
Sorry, dude.
No, they're not. So what is happening to Bidenomics is all the kids that got free money off of COVID relief funding. That's gone. The government's not doing that anymore. So now Bidenomics is these kids that are living in their mom's basement are now coming out of the basement saying, please, mister, do you have $1? I will work for you. Yes, that's what it's all about.
Well, there's open
would
jobs
like to know-
they're not taking.
I would like to see where they're working because I don't see them working.
This isn't Biden's. No, it is. He is
Well, where
adding
are they?
jobs. Every time
He is? You mean jobs are coming back after COVID? He's not
Yes.
adding jobs.
No, exactly.
Well, that's not him adding jobs.
Bidenomics is basically COVID pressures to get people back to work. They got to have some money somehow, right? The
They're
price
not doing anything to get people back to
the
work.
price of eggs going up is Bidenomics, because Biden threw trillions of dollars at an economy and oversaturated the dollar. The dollar is just worth nothing anymore.
Well,
So if you want an egg, you better be ready to spend $10 for it.
Well, our
buy
financial
some
expert
chickens.
that we had on recently, Patrick Willett, he did that deep dive, the financial deep dive with us, the former Wall Street expert, real estate investor. And he just wanted to remind us, he jumped in. He's in the Northeast, said, guys, we've been in a recession since October. The leading indication of a recession is an inverted yield curve between long-term and short-term treasury bonds, which would definitely apply to where we sit June 29th, 2023.
Yeah, but
That's right.
the American people of the world, they are not going down without a fight. They still want their crap from Costco. They still want their houses. They still want their cars and their blah blah. So the problem with it, and you almost have to feel a little sorry for the Federal Reserve right now. They're trying to tap it down, but nothing that they're doing is working. You see what I'm saying? The interest rates are meant to keep everyone from, let's not go crazy buying everything up. Let's keep the prices down. It's not working.
Yeah, because when you screw up enough
It's not working.
over a long enough period of time, you have no more answers. There
Right.
are no more get out of jail cards.
This weekend will be
Lifelines
littered.
gone.
People will be littering the airways by trying to fly from destination to destination. The travel industry is going to be amazing. People are trying to buy electric vehicles that cost $40,000, way too much. It doesn't matter. They're like, look, raise the prices, but I'm on this planet only once, and I'm going to buy some stuff. And that's what's going on right now. They can't tap it down, I'm telling you.
No, it's an attack on the middle classes. They don't want a middle class anymore. They've been trying to wipe out the middle class since before COVID. And COVID did a great redistribution of wealth. The taxes, which they claim only affected people over $400,000, another attack on the middle class. They will do anything they can to cause a giant separation between the top elite and the lower class.
I don't know if they're smart enough to even figure that out, to be honest.
They're doing a pretty darn good job.
I don't
of
even
it.
know if they're smart enough to figure that out, because this is an election season. Why would you want to tank the economy
Because
right now
nobody's
if you're
voting.
in control of the
Do
economy?
you really think 80 million people voted for Biden?
Eric,
Come on now.
My whole deal with that was all of a sudden when the election starts to get closer, just like gas prices, they'll go down. All of a sudden we've got money coming into the economy now. Things are getting better. But this time, I don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah.
Because as you said, you just laid out so eloquently, there's nothing that can be done. It's unfortunate. It's what we're dealing with now. It's our new, I'm going to say it.
This is cause and effect.
Our new normal.
This is cause and effect type stuff is what it is. You guys, the people that were ruling the world back when COVID started, you didn't understand what the effect was going to be. You just didn't.
You mean of
We
printing all
did.
of that free money?
We did. We understood if you shut things
they
down.
understood. They understood.
Then maybe they did, but I'm just saying,
They definitely
cause and effect. Defund the police, cause and effect. Everything they do, border being open, cause and effect. Everything they do, there's an effect to it.
And it's called
And
control,
we are
Eric.
living, that's why everybody wants to go back to the 80s, because it was so great back in the 80s.
Well, people
I'll
that
go
know
back
about
to the 80s with you.
I know. I'm telling you what, I'm going to figure out how to get back to
Let's
there one
invent
day.
a hot tub time machine.
This is cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Tab of the Hassle, Eric Johnson, Lizzie Sparks running our chat line for us, Projo, our engineer, who you'll hear him every now and then chime up. Last week, we had Steve King from Metro Shooting Supply. He's their owner. There's nobody better in the country when it comes to talking guns and anything Amendment 2 rights. Steve had his own shows in the St. Louis area for many years, and now he joins us. Steve, I wasn't here last week when you made your first appearance with us, but welcome into cancelthisshow.com. Last week, you were super popular. Tons of topics. We have a topic we'll get into. It's the 4th of July, gun safety, things of that nature. And then would you be willing to take questions if people have things that are going on?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll get your mic turned on. Joe will take care of that. Hey, first of all, 4th of July, normally we hear about fireworks. People need to have safety with fireworks, not guns. Do you hear about issues with people and guns on the 4th of July?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. The best firework out there is a firearm. So a lot of people think that New Year's Eve and 4th of July are the only two times they need to practice their trigger finger. And unfortunately, a lot of people do it unsafely. So we'd like to kind of remind people that First of all, alcohol and firearms never mix. So if you're out partying and you're out enjoying the barbecue, don't go inside and grab the gun when it gets dark and start shooting rounds in the air. It's just not the safest thing to do. So if you're going to, I think in most municipalities here in St. Louis and in the surrounding areas, it's illegal to fire firearms in the municipalities. However, it never stops people in the past. If you're going to do that, and I am not telling you to go out and shoot guns in the air, but if you're going to shoot firearms, go and make sure you know what your target is and know what's beyond it. That's one of the NRA safety rules. It's number 4, and it says, know your target, know what's beyond it. Know that bullet's going to travel. A 9mm bullet can travel over 1.5 miles. So if you shoot that in the air, you just don't know where it's going to come down. Right. So I know a couple years ago, now it's been probably 10 years ago, out in Chesterfield, a lady got hit in the eye, right in the socket, right in her cheek, by a slug that came out of the air. And there was a big investigation, and they pulled the bullet out of her cheek, and they did ballistics on it. And then we happened to be involved in some of the investigation because they were going around the stores asking about ammunition. And it just so happened that we knew the firearm. We were able to identify the bullets. We were able to help the police do this. But this guy was shooting a firearm off of a condo porch, and he was just aiming in the air and pulling the trigger. And one of his 45 caliber slugs went a great distance and hit a poor lady, about 67, I think, year-old lady, right in the cheek. She lost her eye.
Wow.
And
Damn.
She could have lost her life over it.
Yeah,
so,
could've.
It's one of those things that we just don't want to shoot guns in the air. If you are going to do it, please be safe and responsible and point it into a safe direction. Point it into a ground, a dirt pile, a tree, something that you're going to be able to stop that projectile.
It's not harmless.
No, not at all. I mean, fireworks, we see the injuries from fireworks every year, just firecrackers and bottle rockets and what have you. Bullets are traveling, 900 to 2,000 feet per second. And, I always tell people, once you pull that trigger, there's no getting that bullet back. I mean, it's gone. And once it's gone, there's always a lawyer attached to the end of that bullet. So know what you're doing, and being drunk and being festive on the 4th of July, that's a time for us to celebrate our freedoms and our patriotic ancestry. But it's not a time to be careless and imprudent and put somebody else's life in jeopardy.
Well, you may not be drunk and festive. Somebody may be drunk and pissed off too. We're going to be talking about that coming up at 9:00 with Nicole Jenkins, because that's what we've seen in St. Louis when it comes to that situation with guns and people having guns that shouldn't have guns, and no training from that standpoint. Since you are still fairly new, Steve, can you remind people what you do, the stores that you own, and why you do what you do? Because you were a former cop.
Yes, sir. I was a policeman for several years, 20 some odd years. And I wanted to always, as a policeman, wanted to do something when I retired. So I chose the firearms industry. I've been an avid shooter. I've been shooting since I was 4 years old. And I shoot competition all around the country. I've won a lot of events, and just enjoy the whole shooting sports. And my goal when I retired was to own a firearms company, a gun shop and shooting range, and teach people how to shoot, how to defend themselves, how to be safe. My advocacy is trying to convince the non-shooters to become shooters. And that's where I focus on how do we get people who are vehemently against firearms and get them on our side. So I bought a store in 2003 in Belleville, Illinois, and the communist state of Belleville, Illinois. And I made that store the #1 gun shop in St. Louis. And then in 2009, I bought a building in Bridgeton and refurbished it. And in 2011, we opened up and became the largest gun shop in St. Louis. And so I had 1 and 2, and I was very proud of having the biggest gun shops in St. Louis.
How do you, they have I guess, laws that are trying to get written right now about, on the news, you see these gang members.
Yep.
that have these, they look like machine guns to me. I don't know what the hell they are, but these gang members walking around Washington Avenue, and how do you write a law that says, hey, gang member, you can't bring a machine gun out in the street, but it doesn't affect legal caring citizen to conceal and carry to protect themselves. These are two totally different people. One is to protect themselves, Second Amendment, blah, blah, blah. And one is basically to, it's nefarious. How do you write laws that touch one,
best answer,
but don't touch the other?
Eric, you bring up a very good point, and this is what the dichotomy of our system is crazy, because on one hand, we have our Constitution and it says we're all allowed to carry guns. On the other hand, we have idiots out there that do carry guns.
Right.
And you can't write a law against an idiot carrying a gun. There's over 20,000 local, state, federal gun laws already on the book. So if you had that law, you just asked, what law do we write? I can't tell you that because there's already a law that says you can't flourish a gun in public. You can't be underage and own a firearm. You can't kill somebody.
Right.
You can't point a gun and threaten somebody. There's already these laws on the books, but the key thing is bad guys don't care about laws.
Right.
So we could write every law out there and they're still going to violate those laws because they don't care.
Yeah.
And I know the picture you're talking about with those little hoodlums.
Well, it just seems like St. Louis has got this major problem. You want people to walk freely in the evening in St. Louis, Missouri on a Saturday night. But what I hate to be so to use my word.
There's your picture, Eric. There's your picture.
The answer, Eric.
So
it's for you to be properly armed and for you to know how to use your weapon. Because it is the only way to fight back. The police can't.
I'm
be
a
everywhere.
40-year-old soccer mom with a soccer dad trying to go down and have a nice time in St. Louis, but now I can't even consider doing that because because of this picture right here.
I understand. And the key thing is it's leadership. It all boils down to leadership that we vote into office. We have a city and a county that don't care about.
Can you pop that picture back up, Joe, please, while Steve's talking?
We have laws that allow kids like this to have guns. There's no law right here that allows these kids to have these guns, but our state is a very progressive state, and we have been over the past 10 years writing laws that lower the age to get firearms. It's still a federal law that you have to be 21 years old to get a handgun, okay? And all of these firearms that these kids are holding are handguns. None of these kids in here are 21 years old, I can bet. And the problem is that as long as you're 19 years old, your parents can buy you a firearm and give it to you. And that's what they're doing. They're using the loophole to have their mom and dad or grandma or grandpa buy them a gun and then let them carry them around the street.
And that's why we have to start punishing the people who do that. When these people, and I know there's laws for that too. There are laws for that too. And like I was explaining to Eric, and you were explaining to Eric, there's already laws for all these things. We know that leadership's the problem. We know no one's actually doing anything about it. That's not going to change anytime soon.
No.
It's not going to change anytime soon.
No.
So what do we do with the situation the way it is, knowing it's not going to change anytime soon?
Well, we have to educate the people. And unfortunately, I don't want to see gunfights in the street from good guys versus bad guys. I mean, this isn't Dodge City 1800 some odd.
Kind of on some nights.
But the problem is these kids don't have any fear. There's no fear of law enforcement. There's no fear of their parents.
And no value on life.
They're desensitized by so much stuff. It's unbelievable. And it's a rite of passage.
Right.
I mean, it's, to me, a gun is, for me, it's to protect yourself in the house. This is something different. This is laws need to be built for, like, we're bringing back St. Louis. Sorry if this touches on you, 19-year-old kid with a machine gun. But then again, you have to be sensitive to that Second Amendment thing.
Right. Well,
right.
And the thing is that even as a gun shop owner, I cringe when I see news stories like that. And I cringe when I see these people. I get these guys coming into my store every day trying to buy guns. And I can't sell them to them. They're not legal.
Yeah.
And I have to turn them away and tell them, you're not allowed to possess these firearms. So they go out and they find somebody to buy them one. And then they get it because they're 19 years old.
Well, what was his name? The guy that had the Castle Doctrine guy. What was his name? He was running for Senate. What was his name?
Oh, McCloskey. So they run a lawsuit against him.
Right.
He's in his yard.
Right.
He has a legitimate fear of a mob moving through his yard. Yet anyway, I feel like I'm pounding this a little bit too hard. It's just I'm trying to understand, how do our leaders not see this and go, we're going to fix this?
They want to get elected, and they're playing to their base. And if you look at how the elections have gone in the last 8 years, the base is turning to lawlessness. They want to give everything for free. They want to make urban slaves is what they want to do.
Oh, damn.
They want to make people enslaved to their policies. And unfortunately, that's just the bottom line. And nobody has the kahunas to say what's happening. But
the dads should.
Every time
these kids' dads
they don't.
should.
Most of them don't. Most of them don't have dads, Eric. But we have to learn how to live with it and deal with it because it's not going to change.
Right, and this isn't a black or white issue. This is a urban issue, and this is a political issue that the politicians are playing. And every welfare check that goes out, and every subsidy that goes out, and every free phone that goes out, and every free everything that goes out, these people have no value of life. Everything is free. What do they have to do? They spend their money on drugs. They spend their money on alcohol. They spend their money on guns. They spend their money on whatever they want to spend.
Do you
their
think
money
it's
on.
time that we give? Let's say it's a right. I don't and I'm not. But everybody will say I'm a liberal after I ask this question, especially Tabitha. Look at her looking at me. Do you think it's time we have a licensed system where it's like, you can own a gun, you have the right to own a gun, but you have to be licensed to do it. Have a vetting process of a United States citizen to say, you went through the process, you know how to do this, you understand the Castle Doctrine, all this other stuff. Is it time? Are we living in a part of the society? Are we in a time period where it's time we separate people who deserve a gun and people that don't deserve a gun?
Well, I think that was at one time that was the way it is, and I think the backlash from that has now swung that pendulum the other direction, and now we're giving away too many caveats. So as we had before, up until 2015, you had to go down to St. Louis County and get a permit to purchase a firearm. And they had a 7-day waiting period, and then you had 30 days to purchase that gun, and the dealer had to submit the paperwork back, and there was a registry. Well, the public didn't want that anymore. And the politicians heard that grumbling from the people saying, hey, this is our constitutional right to have firearms. Why do we have to go through this process? The Constitution doesn't say I have to get a permit.
Right.
Well, now they got rid of all that, and I believe that was 2005. In 2015, we had the Castle Doctrine that said stand your ground, you don't have to go anywhere. So we keep getting more and more progressive for allowing citizens to defend themselves. But on the other side, on the flip side of it, the bad guys, they get to do whatever they want to do because nobody's challenging them. They're defunding the police. They're taking the claws and the teeth out of the police. The court systems are overbooked, and there's nothing that can be done. Now, I believe the law that should be on the books that you're talking about is if you're involved in a firearm crime, regardless of what it is, mandatory prison time, and that would get people to stop. Let's bring back some corporal punishment. Let's bring back some work details. Let's make them work out on
one
the highway.
strike and you're out kind of thing.
Work on the highway. Chain them up and make them pick up trash on I-40. And when people drive down 40 and they see all these people out there in orange jumpsuits picking up trash, they're going to say, I don't want to do that.
We're talking with Steve King. He is the owner of Metro's Shooting Supplies. I'm curious, it's so difficult to not, quote, judge people in a negative way. But when you work in the arms industry as you do with guns, when people come in, you never know what you're going to get, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Of the amount of people who come in and try to purchase guns, what percentage do you think are not legally in a situation where they can buy one?
In my store, 0. We don't sell firearms unless they pass the background.
No, I know 0. I mean, how many people what percentage are you having to turn away?
Oh, God, it varies every day.
Is it at least 30%?
I would say 20% of the people coming in aren't allowed to buy firearms. They're either too young, they're under the influence of marijuana.
See,
or
that
alcohol.
scares the living crap out of me, which is why I asked the question. And then, of course, you already know there's a lot of weapons on the street.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are.
Over 300 million.
But these people aren't coming in and buying them from your shop is the problem.
That's right.
And like I was asking you earlier, and I know you weren't able to fully answer, what do we do? Our leaders aren't doing anything. They're not going to do anything. Is more guns the answer, or is less guns the answer? Are more gun laws the answer? Less gun laws? I know we ideally want to prosecute, and if we prosecuted these cases, if we put people in jail for violent crimes, we wouldn't have the situation we do. But that's not going to change anytime soon.
No.
So in the meantime, what do we do to feel safe?
Tabitha, it sounds stark, but the answer to that question is we need to protect ourselves. The police departments aren't going to be there when you need help. Just like the McCloskeys you were talking about, there was no police out there when that mob of people come walking through their yards. What they did was legal by the definition of the Castle Doctrine. However, their tactics were stupid. And I criticized them from day one. They should have stayed in their house and had cover and protect themselves, standing out in the middle of your yard waving a gun around, get yourself killed generally. And they were lucky they didn't get shot that day.
Good point.
But the key thing is we need training. Everybody should take training. We have to get a driver's license. We have to do things to get a job. Sometimes you have to be licensed to be a nurse or a dentist or a dental hygienist or whatever the case may be.
Well, let me ask you this. You said a license. What stops St. Louis Police Department from walking up to these kids and saying, you literally are dangling a machine gun. Can I see the license for that thing real quick?
Well, there's no license for a firearm.
Yeah, or whatever that prerequisite is to do that.
There isn't any.
There isn't one.
That's a problem. And the policemen can't do anything anymore because it's their constitutional right to carry these firearms.
Mm-hmm.
And you see videos on YouTube all the time where policemen are getting themselves in trouble, where they come up to a fellow that has a gun strapped across his chest, an AR-15 or something. Yeah. And the guy says, hey, it's my legal right to carry this on the sidewalk. It's public property. Mm-hmm. And the policeman has nothing, he can't do anything about it. And that's what we talked about last time, is that that's not a good way to get your message across if you're a pro-gun person. Why do you want to flaunt that gun in front of somebody's face? Yeah. Why don't you take them shooting instead? Why don't you give them some education instead? Why don't you show them that you're a responsible gun owner? That convinces people that the guns are okay. Yeah. Not walking around with a gun on your hip and flaunting it in their face and flashing it around. Yeah. That's not the way to do it. Gun safety. And what I was saying was, I think every single person by the age of 16, 18 should have some kind of formal gun training. We should go to a class, show competency, and then we don't have to worry about so many of these yahoos out here shooting. I mean, if you came into my range and looked at my ceiling, these are people that are in a controlled environment. They're supposed to be shooting downrange at a gigantic steel plate. Yeah. And they can't hit the steel plate in front of them.
Eric, there's literally holes on the ceiling. I was like, how the hell is somebody hitting up and down and way to the right and to the left?
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
And people don't know what they don't know. And that's why we need training. Everybody.
Does that answer your question, Tabitha, when you were asking?
Well, it does, because again, we have to deal with the situation the way that it is.
Right.
And I've always felt like more guns are the answer. More guns on responsible citizens are the answer.
Here's the problem. And I think this is what we keep skirting around. You have what you're talking about, a defensive mechanism for weaponry. Right? Yep. That's a responsible gun owner. The problem is you're dealing with people who are using it as an offensive weapon, coming into quick trips and gas stations and stealing cars and pistol whipping people.
Right.
But they're turf wars too,
they're coming into St. Peter's and Fenton and all these other places too.
But Eric, the first time one of those guys comes up to somebody at Quick Trip and that guy shoots him, it's going to start changing.
Well, that happened. That actually did happen in St. Charles.
Right. And it's going to start happening. Unfortunately.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal. Police officers, courts, lawmakers need to make it very apparent. You brandish a weapon and point it at anybody in public and somebody takes you out, you're done. There's no lawsuits. It's a defensive mechanism. And I think
that's not the world we live in. And we can hypothesize all we want, but that's not the world we live in.
And that's the reason that people don't do it.
It's never going to be. It's too late for all that.
Yeah, we can't be judging.
I mean, you're second guessing yourself shooting someone coming into your house because you're like, oh my God, I'm going to go through court for the next 3 years. And
you have to do what you have to do to protect yourself and your family and worry about the rest of that later.
No,
and
that's
if
what
you
I'm talking
take
about.
a class, if you know what you're doing, then you know the laws, and you know, last week you gave me such a great insight. And I've thought about it so many times since then, where you talked about, you know what, if you're put in a bad situation, you only defend yourself and your family and no one else.
That's right. Know what you're getting involved in. Never jump into a situation. Be a witness. Get on your cell phone. Call the police. Do whatever you can do. But you have that firearm to save your life and the life of someone who shares your last name or bloodline. Period. That's what you do. And when you're talking about all these fears of shooting people, Eric, the key thing is the state of Missouri has recognized that, and they have made laws that says if you don't get prosecuted criminally, you can't be prosecuted civilly. So when you're in your home, that's your castle.
Yeah.
And if somebody breaks in, the only thing you have to prove, and it's not hard to prove, is that you were in fear of your life.
Mm-hmm.
How does anybody get into your head and prove you weren't in fear of your life?
Yeah.
So if you're at a Quick Trip and you're at a gas station, you're pumping your gas, and 3 of these guys pull up in a car and pull out 3 guns, give them your car, right? It's not worth it.
Yeah.
But if you can get the jump on them, if you can stop it, if there is a way that you can defend yourself, by all means do so.
Yeah.
And then as you see, there's going to be camera footage from everything. If you're justified, which you should be justified to do whatever you're going to do. We can't just have vigilantes going around. If you're justified, you don't have anything to worry about as far as legal things going. It will change your life forever. I mean, I've known police officers that have shot people and has completely changed their lives forever.
Did you ever have to shoot anybody when you were a cop?
No, I came close. I had 7 opportunities where I could have justifiably shot somebody, but God saved them at the last minute. And that's the only thing I can tell you that happened, because they were going to go, and it just wasn't their time to die, and everything was resolved peacefully. But you have to have that discipline. You have to have that trigger discipline and know what your abilities are and the confidence in your firearm and your weaponry in order to say, I can wait this nanosecond before I have to pull the trigger. And hopefully the situation diffuses.
Sure. Mike from the comment line wants to know if you recommend having insurance if you have a CCA, and if so, which company would you recommend?
I don't think that we need that in the state of Missouri. There's a lot of people out pushing those prepaid self-defense legal things. I don't believe they're necessary. There are a lot of people that have them for their peace of mind. But again, in the state of Missouri, if you're justified shooting somebody in a criminal situation, you don't have to worry about a civil lawsuit. Now, if you're careless and you miss that bad guy and you hit somebody down the street, a little 5-year-old kid on a swing set, now, that may be a different story. I don't think any insurance is going to cover that, because you were liable for your errant round. That's where I said before, you have to know what your target is and what's beyond before you pull the trigger. So if you're in a self-defense situation, just because your life is in danger doesn't mean you pull your gun out and start spraying bullets all over the place. You have to know what your target is. You have to know what the background is, and be smart about it. Move, get off the X. We always teach, get off the X. Move, get out of the way. A moving target's harder to hit than a standing target. And get some kind of a backdrop where you know that if you miss that bad guy, you're not going to hit something that you don't intend to hit.
Well, before you get out of here today, too, let's remind everybody what you're doing for our viewers and our listeners if they come by Metro Shooting Supply, because you're offering them a coupon, and you speak of training, but then another situation as well with the holster situation. We wanted to let everybody know, too, if you're into guns and you're actively using, or if you want to learn and buy, go to Metro Shooting Supply. Tell them you've heard Steve here on cancelthisshow.com. If you do make purchases, whatever you do, it's going to help us in the show. And we have a couple specific things that Steve wanted to focus on when it comes to some coupons as well.
Well, a couple of things is our concealed carry class is July 22nd of this month.
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner. It's already half full, so don't delay. But it is an awesome class to take. I know that we are a permitless carry here in St. Louis, in the state of Missouri, but you don't know what you don't know. Take the class, get the laws, understand the laws, get the permit, and that allows you to carry in 30 some odd other states around the country. But the key thing is that if you would ever have to shoot somebody, you can at least show the judge, the court, the police officer, anybody involved, you know what, I'm a conscientious gun owner. I'm a responsible gun owner. I took training so that I would be responsible. And unfortunately, I had to use my gun to defend myself. And so we're giving the listeners here 10% off on your website. There's a coupon that they can click and get 10% off of that class. So I would encourage everybody to get it. If you've had the concealed carry license for 5, 10, 15 years, like a lot of people have, we've had this since 2003. So, and every year the laws completely change. So they don't realize that if you took that concealed carry class in 2003 or 2008, the laws are completely different right now. So if you haven't done it, get a refresher course. It never hurts to learn more. Come in, take the class again. You don't have to go down to county and get a new license or anything. Just come in and take the class again and learn what's new. And we may give you some ideas that you forgot about, but we're doing that for the listeners. And the other thing is, I got a 4th of July, cancel this freedom rifle sale for you. So we're going to give $100 off of an AR-15 for the cancel this listeners if they come in and mention the show. We're going to get a coupon up on
we don't have the coupons up on the website yet. We're waiting for Alex to get that up there. They were supposed to be there. They're not there. But can people say that it was with cancel this? Okay.
Yes, but there's only 4. It's for the 4th of July. So there's 4 of these special rifles, the Radical AR-15s, and we have 4 of them sitting aside for the Cancel This audience. And we'd like to give you $100 off on them. So they're going to be $549. And that's a very
That's a good price.
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
inexpensive gun for a quality firearm. It's not plastic, it's not polymer, it's a quality firearm that I would carry myself and use every single day. So it's a great firearm for especially beginners. And then, we have our custom AR shop. So if they buy this firearm, they can always customize it and put colors on it and do all that. And so anybody that wants to do that, we're going to give them 10% off of any of our customization of their AR-15s.
Wow.
Because you could have it, you could come in and have it painted red, white, and blue.
We have.
I've seen those and they're beautiful.
Yeah, we're going to get the pictures too. We got them coming.
We have all of those things that you can do. We can change the furniture on them. You can change the colors of them, and they're beautiful. They're customized.
You could have Platinum Rock
They're
Legends
beautiful.
on one, Eric.
Yeah.
You can have the graphics.
We're lovers. We're not fighters.
And then Eric can take the class.
Yep.
I strongly promote the class because all the questions that we typically have for you are answered when you take the class.
That's absolutely right.
And you have that confidence to actually be able to defend yourself. Anybody can buy a gun and think if somebody breaks into my house, I'm going to shoot them, but they don't always have the confidence to do it.
Right. And if you ever have any questions on any of these gun laws that we have in the Missouri Concealed Carry class, we cover Missouri State Statute 571 and 563. And those are the use of force laws and the concealed carry laws of how you are justified to use lethal and non-lethal force. So it breaks it all down. It tells you exactly where you can carry it, where you can't carry it. But many people don't know that. So when they come into the class, instead of reading, 400 pages of text, we break it down for you and give you the highlights of all the laws. And it makes it a lot simpler. And we're there 24 hours a day. Well, almost. I am 24 hours a day. But we're there to answer your questions all the time. So you take the class on the 22nd, and on the 15th of August, you have forgotten something. Come on in and ask. Call us. We'll tell you. We have no problems helping you out. This is a learning process. This is how you change your life moving forward. Being a gun owner doesn't stop after getting your permit. Being a gun owner, the responsibility lasts forever. And that's what we want to stress to people, being a responsible gun owner. Because if you're responsible, that gets all the riffraff, helps that negate that.
No question.
It certainly does, Steve. And by the way, if you're a gun owner and you need supplies or you need holsters, you need anything, get into Metro Shooting Supply. It'll blow your mind. Check out their stores. You've got the Bridgeton store open right now. Right. The Belleville store is under
construction. We're still renovating it. It's going to look absolutely gorgeous when we're done.
And you're looking to hire.
Yes, we're. Are we ever, Tabitha? No, I'll tell you.
Yeah, let people know what's going on.
Yeah, we're expanding. We're always trying to get our crew bigger and better and faster. So if you're in this type of industry and you're excited about the Second Amendment or gun laws and things, we're looking for firearms instructors. We're looking for salespeople, and we're looking for gunsmiths. So we're always open. So we're always trying to advance ourselves and get better people in the store and help the St. Louis market. And then when Belleville opens back up, we're going to need a crew over there to do that. So if you're an Illinois person, you need to have a FOID card, a FOID card, a firearm owner's identification card. So you have to have that. You must be 21 years old to work for us and have a clean criminal background. We do a background check, and you have to be, a good guy. So, but if you're in St. Louis and you're listening to this, come on in. We've got these custom holsters you're talking about, Vic. It's for people who are concealed carry folks who have a light or laser on their firearm, and they can't find a holster for them. And they look online and they buy 30, 40 different holsters because they can't find the right one that fits. We make custom fit holsters for you, for your firearm, your gun, your light, your gun, your laser, however you have it, whatever combination you have. We have custom made holsters that we make for you, and they're perfect. They fit perfectly for your gun. They're comfortable and they're reasonable. I mean, they're very inexpensive when you come to think about going online and paying $200 for a holster that takes 16 weeks to get. We'll make it in 2 days and have it for you within 24, 48 hours, depending on the backup. And it's perfect for you.
Steve, happy 4th of July, my friend. Thanks for coming in and spending some
guys.
time with us.
Yeah, please be safe. It's a good holiday. It's something to be celebrating. We're 200 and some odd years old, and we need to make sure that we keep this going and our rights are protected
Do they
forever.
still, do they still have the VP fare?
That's Steve. No.
It's very poor, Eric.
That's Steve King with Metro Shooting Supplies. This is cancelthisshow.com. Eric Johnson's here, Tabitha Hassel, and Vic Faust. Lizzie Sparks running the live chat, Projo Online. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, some great comedy regarding Anthony Fauci, if you haven't seen this yet, from Dana Carvey and one of his sidekicks.
David Spade.
It's David's. These two are awesome. We'll show you that. Plus, coming up, Nicole Jenkins is about ready to get real on some people in St. Louis, maybe the mayor as well. But it's a situation that all cities have right now, this reimagining policing and how it's killing cities. Tabitha talked about her tabs take with recession. If that's not bad enough, then you have areas with no safety. Imagine what it's going to do to those
criminals who overpower police with their weapons. Absolutely.
Back with more. Cancelthisshow.com right after this.
Waited, and now it's here. The unveiling of the latest Carroll House lifestyle collections. I'm Brooke with my sister Amy, inviting you to see 3 football fields of the latest styles.
Our new lifestyle collections are premium quality furniture made exclusively for us and available only at Carroll House.
The attention to detail is unmatched, and so is the value, nearly half the price of a typical gallery store.
Plus, get free financing, delivery, and in-home design. Carroll House, because you like nice things.
Marco, wait. What, no response? Hi, I'm Curtis Sparks with Complete Auto Body and Repair, offering full service and auto repair to St. Louis and St. Charles. We are looking for someone to say polo. That's right, we are hiring. We want you now. If you would like to work in a well-paying environment, then you owe it to yourself to stop by one of our 6 Complete Auto Body and Repair locations. Will you help me find that missing person? Please call me directly at 636-488-HIRE. That's right, 636-488-4473.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixed the cars.
Kathy O. Big Strick, owner of Experience Real Estate Partners with eXp, has been one of St. Louis, Missouri's highest selling groups for 26 years running. In that time, Kathy and her team have successfully assisted an incredible 4,000 families. So if you're thinking about buying, building, or selling, be sure to put Kathy's group and their experience to work for you, and you can expect to be moved. Just give her a call at 314-276-SOLD. That's 314-276-7653, or find her online at experience-re.com.
As all of you may know, the home of the Cancel This studio is located at the all-inclusive private jet hangar, Strategic Air Services. Founded in Chesterfield, Missouri, they take pride in offering a meticulous approach to private aviation through services that fully manage your trip from takeoff to landing. Strategic Air Services is more than just storage for your aircraft. They offer state-of-the-art amenities to its members and guests. When you are not traveling, you have the luxury of enjoying their world-class gym, conference rooms, lounges, and so much more. Strategic Air Services offers an unparalleled luxury experience for all things private aviation. If you're looking for a new place to call home for your aircraft, give them a call today at 636-400-7601. Again, that's 636-400-7601, or visit their website at strategicairservices.net.
Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, if you don't know, is a family-owned business that has been around since 1994, serving some of the best chicken wings in town, no joke. Also known for their fresh burgers, pizza, and incredible smoked meat. Top-notch happy hour specials are included, plus live music every Friday and Saturday. Oh yeah, you can also enjoy their spacious heated covered patio. It's Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road. Hey guys, welcome back into cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust, Tabitha Hassel, Eric Johnson, Lizzie Sparks running your chat lines today, as she always does. Projo taking care of the engineering board, and our friend Nicole Jenkins jumping in with us today. It is June 29th. You can catch all of our original content at cancelthisshow.com. Please check out our partners we were just showing you. And by the way, if you are into the Amendment 2 rights, if you have a gun, ammunition, you need holsters, whatever, check out Metro Shooting Supply. Tell them you heard about them from Cancel This. You get a discount. Plus, it helps us on this show as well. Okay, we have our good friend in, Nicole Jenkins. We've had Nicole on a few times. She's always very popular when she comes into the show. People love her because she speaks it how it is, and she doesn't care what you think, and that's what we need, especially these types of talks, these types of interviews. But before we get to what Nicole wanted to talk about today, please, Nicole, let us know about and let people know about your business and what you're doing with veterans, just in case if they may have forgotten. And by the way, before you do that, you look great. Are you trying to lose weight? Because you look like you there's less of you.
It used to be a lot less of me. 2 years ago. Yeah, I am trying to lose weight. I am trying to eat healthier like I used to, running, and I'm doing the healthy skinny shots and getting my sugar down. Doing semaglutide, which is actually working.
We just talked about
it yesterday, didn't we?
With New Age, the semaglutide. Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Steve Strict, Kathy Helbig Strict. Don't know if you know them or not.
No.
They own a place called New Age, but they were Tabitha. We asked them about it yesterday. The semaglutide, how it's working for people.
Okay, I didn't
especially
know
for women.
Their place, yeah. So that's where I go to.
You do?
Oh, you do?
I do.
What no way.
I go to them. So you guys are great.
Small world.
That's
well,
wild.
you were pretty before, but man, since you brought it up, you look better. You look like you're
and
beaming.
I'm rocking my sister girl braids.
I do that on the weekend.
Hey, so
and that's true.
It is true story.
No one has ever seen me like this.
Really?
This guy stopped yesterday and he was like, "Hey, ethnic girl, Erykah Badu is coming to town
Erykah
today."
Badu.
Oh, I see it.
It is beautiful.
I do see it. You look good. How long does that take to do?
About 8 to 10 hours, but it lasts for months. You don't have to do anything to your hair. You just get a touch up at the top and make it look a little.
I need to do that.
But 8 to 10 hours and you're done.
I wouldn't be running late every morning.
That's right.
Damn. Okay. Well, you look great. Tell everybody about your business and what you're doing with veterans.
Veterans Advantage Urgent Care. We are now 2.5 years in the market of seeing only veteran patients and their spouses and their caregivers. We are a subspecialty urgent care for veterans. We have really been focusing on PTSD, war veterans. We do neuropathy. We have a podiatrist there now, Dr. Payton. We got shout out to Dr. Quigless. We got Dr. Walker there for family medicine. We're putting a big emphasis on women veterans also, but instead of treating our patients with medications and doping them up, we are actually trying to combat that PTSD and be more of a mental place for them.
Yep.
We're also social workers. We're helping veterans get their DD-214. We're working with the Vet Center, Dr. Brown, David Kozar, Amanda Depew over at Chestnut. We're doing housing for them also. And in August, we will open up our veteran charity store. A lot of people have donated to us clothing. So this will help with the needs of veterans with everything that we're providing.
That's awesome.
And what's the website again so people can learn more about that?
www.vauc.org. Also, the second year veteran ball, November 11th is going on. I am on the committee. Rebecca Talman over the veteran tiny homes. She's on the committee. George Herrera, he started it.
Oh, yeah.
So we need to get it out there.
We need to do every single thing we can for our veterans because you know what? We wouldn't be sitting here talking about the issues we talk about in this show if it weren't for those folks who fought and died for our country or the folks who fought and are living through the same nightmare some of us are. I will never understand why veterans are treated worse. They're actually treated worse by our government than any other group of people.
They're treated worse, and it really breaks my heart. And you have to be in the realm to see them and see what goes on. I have vets that come in and say, I've been waiting 15 hours to be seen in facilities. And
subpar medical conditions.
Yeah.
I've been in, was it John Cochran? I have seen that there's mold on the walls in that hospital, and you cannot take photos of it. It's actually a crime to take photos inside of a military veterans type hospital.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Some of these people, I had a friend in the military who died because she was waiting for cancer treatment, didn't get it. I mean, it's insane the way our veterans are treated. It makes me sick.
Well, we're glad you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I've visited your facilities. I've done stories on them. You're top notch. And we'd love to get you on, because if anybody has a vibe of what's happening in the city, and a lot of what's happening in St. Louis City happens in big cities around this country, unfortunately. And when my sister friend Nicole says, Vic, we need to talk, it's time to talk. And that's why we have you on today.
That's right.
What's got you fired up, so to speak, about what's happening in the city right now?
Well, it's very hurtful what's happening in the city of St. Louis, because I am from the city of St. Louis. And what's happening right now, I know that there's two sides to a story. But when I go out of town, I was just in St. Petersburg, Florida, and my Uber driver said, where are you from? And I said, I'm from St. Louis. And he goes, St. Louis, is it as bad there as, we're seeing what's going on there?
Hey, they say that in Detroit. When I moved to St. Louis, people in Detroit said, oh, we're so sorry. We're so sorry you have to move to St. Louis.
Yeah.
And it's really sad, because yes, is there a firearm problem? Absolutely. However, me leaving St. Louis for the first time ever, moving anywhere out of state, living in Georgia, Atlanta really opened up my eyes to a lot. And I think we have numerous problems that we have to combat. Number one, we have a very poor education system in the city of St. Louis. Very poor.
Yes, we do.
It's not just in St. Louis either. It's around the country in big cities.
It's around the country. But I can say for inner cities, we have to adapt the model of cities like Georgia, the city of Atlanta. Well, it's the city of Atlanta, the state, of Georgia. The city of Atlanta, you have East Point, you have so many pockets that are just like St. Louis. But the education is really good. You got inner city just like North St. Louis City, and these young kids are doing programs with Duke University, and this is public school.
But how are they funding it? Because that's a big problem here in St. Louis. In St. Louis, some of these areas, you're right, the schooling is just terrible. We have 10-year-olds running around with guns in schools, people skipping classes, and that's not happening in other areas where there is equal poverty.
Yes, so they're funding it because you have the community never left. And the community will go in and fund if they have to. But they're also funding it on the state level. They're also funding it through the school districts. And what we have to understand is St. Louis City Public School a long time ago became very top heavy, top pay for top heavy people that came in, administrators. And they knew nothing about these children. And they didn't care to learn. It was a position that paid them a lot of money. And I think that we need to really restructure what's going on with education, with housing, even with jobs. We don't pay money. We don't pay enough here. We really don't. So you can't expect something that it'll never happen. This is a very impoverished city. This is a really impoverished city. And I can say that it is getting worse because everyone is saying
I agree
it's
with
not
you.
My problem because I live in Brentwood.
No, it's the problem.
And it is our problem.
No, the problem is this: is leadership doesn't ever get that look of we're going to fix this. You never look at Tashara Jones or Lyda Cruzan before her and go, "We've got this." And criminals, you're done. And you never get that look of fear in their eyes. They're always talking about LGBTQ garbage. They're always talking about social issues. Cori Bush talking about defund the cops. The first thing you can do before you can change education, before you can change an economic development, you better be secure. You better be able to walk the streets at night. You better be able to go to a Starbucks in the morning without the threat of any kind of violence. The problem with St. Louis is its reputation precedes it.
Correct.
You're not going to get a Fortune 500 to come down there, even though their human resources are amazing. You're never going to get that when you go, well, I'd love to do it, but it's dilapidated and it's Blythe. You know what? We're going to move to St. Charles. The problem is you need Tashara. I think you agree. To get in the media and say, if you brandish a weapon, if you kill somebody, if you rob somebody, I cannot wait to put you in jail for 20 years. I can't wait. It's going to be my privilege to do that.
We need that, but we also need to get to the bottom of it.
That is the bottom of it.
That's not the bottom of it. I disagree. Even if we do that, you still have a poverty gap that is
that's fine. But
never been closed.
But the problem with this, the ideological talk to me is that you're trying to jump 50 feet when you still have to take that first step to get to the 50-foot mark to make a beautiful economic zone downtown St. Louis, a beautiful education system that is talking to Duke and educating these kids. These kids can't even read at a 4th grade level. They can't even get out of high school, much less talk to Duke.
And but that's poverty in a lot of areas.
But poverty is an excuse.
It all comes down to poverty.
No.
And I'm not saying that these kids don't have opportunities also,
Mm-hmm.
but we know if we don't starting out with these kids at a very young age and put them on the right track at a very young age, and I'm not talking about just inner city, I'm talking about any area that is facing poverty, we're never going to get ahead of the game to start that. We've got to break the cycle.
No, you guys are talking, you're talking in circles. You got to do number 1 before you can get to number 20. You have to.
But that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Tashara,
so we have to start somewhere.
And I only say Tashara because she's the only mayor that I know in an urban situation right now. She has to come out and just be forceful that we're going to get crime under control.
But that's not going to happen.
Because guess what?
They need to spend some of the
I
money.
hate it when you say that.
But it's true. It's never going to happen.
I can't stand that you think that Tashara. What do you want?
Tashara Jones is never going to do a darn thing. No one's ever going to do a darn thing for St. Louis. And it's going to be years before that gets started. But we have to start with these kids today.
The kids don't care.
Yeah,
the kids are.
I think they do care.
They do care.
I'm going to disagree because I'm in leadership. And these young girls that come to me from St. Louis College of Health Careers, majority of them, they have attended St. Louis City Public School or some public school. And I could see the education that's lacked, but I also see young, thriving students.
I'm sure
that of color that want to do what I do. That they want me to teach them. So I think that they're missing something. We don't have a community anymore where I'm from. And we just don't, But we also, I think that while we all can point the fingers, how many of us have actually went down to these neighborhoods and these kids that are committing the crimes and saying, what is it that makes you commit these crimes? Because I'll tell you something. Growing up in my neighborhood,
it's fashionable. No,
that's not. It's not always, because the guys that sold drugs in my neighborhood, it wasn't because they want to be fashionable. That was 20%. The 80% were guys whose mothers were crackheads, whose mothers were on heroin. They had siblings. Mm-hmm. And when someone comes to you, if you throw anybody to a wolf or a lion, you're going to fight if you want to live and if you want to survive.
Yeah.
So the guys that I know, that I grew up with, that sold drugs, they took care of not only their siblings, they took care of everyone's siblings, everybody who had parents that were on crack cocaine. And it's not their fault. They're children. They're 12 years old selling drugs because it's a broken system. Their parents have failed them.
And a lot of times their parents are the ones who tell them, go out, you have to take care of the family, get out and bring home some money.
It's a survival thing. So that's why I think the first step, we need to get to the bottom of why they're committing these crimes. What is making
There's a whole host of factors. The music is one. Like I said, social issues are number one. Number two, force of joining a gang is another one.
Eric, the biggest one is not having money, man. When you don't have money.
Yeah, but I don't think stealing cars and joyriding,
I don't understand that.
Getting into accidents. I don't think joyriding, stealing cars is
what do you? So what do you want to do? How do you want to fix the money problem, Vic? You want to just go dump 42
know.
pallets of cash down
You
in.
make-
That doesn't make any sense.
You make a great point, Eric. I know, and I can't disagree.
I'm telling you what the quagmire is.
But if you're broke and poor, yes. Here's the thing:
the quagmire
Can
is
you
you better
come out
stop
of it?
shooting, and you
Can
better
you come out of it like Nicole has 100%.
You know what made me come out of it? Education. What made me come out of it, what made Ty Dennis come out of it, what made us,
Yes.
the only reason why we've come out of it, because we're all from the city, is because we had parents, we had a family to put us on a bus and send us to Chesterfield.
Yeah.
That's what made me come out of it.
Well, I'm a tough
what about
love
the
kind.
children
I'm a
that
tough
don't
love
have
kind
it?
of guy. There was a guy next door to me. His name was Brian. I won't say his last
That's
name.
why I can't disagree.
I won't say
with
his
you,
last name.
But you've got
But he was basically a kid. Check this out. Lived in Creve Coeur, Missouri. He was a kid, lived next door to me when I was a kid. And every day he would go over to 7-Eleven and rob the joint. Every day. I was like, where did you get all of these Skittles or whatever the hell? His mom and his dad found out about it. Sat Brian down, sent him to Boonville. I know that not everybody can send him to a military camp. Sent him to Boonville, came back, did it again. They sent him back to Boonville. The guy is like one of the highest paid lawyers now because of what his parents did. Tough love won the day in
What
that
if you
kid.
don't have a parent? What if you have a parent, but they're not there?
Look at all
Or
of the
parent who
dynamics you
doesn't
keep
give that
throwing in.
love.
The
But
dynamics.
the dynamics is true.
It is true, but the cops, I agree with Corey Bush in one way. Cops aren't going to fix the problems. It's going to be the church leaders. It's going to be the dads, the moms, it's going to be the grandmas. It's going to be the peer pressure put on people doing what. And then you can go talk to FedEx about putting a FedEx hub down there and hiring all these people. Then you can go talk to all these companies.
People that are not even present in the
Well,
home.
then it's doomed. Then it's doomed.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
That's what I'm telling you.
I'm sorry.
So that's why we need to go, whether they have to get put in foster care, whether we have to take them from these parents and say, you're not getting a check anymore.
You see, that's tough love right there. That's beyond putting them in jail.
What recently has put you to the point
No food stamps anymore. No anything. You're not taking care of these children. If you can't straighten up your act, because you can recover. Crackheads recover all the time. And I'll tell you something, growing up in the city, you can smoke crack on Monday and stop on Wednesday. And I'm just going to be quite honest.
It's very different than alcohol addiction.
And I hope you hear the frustration in my voice.
I never knew that.
I hope you hear the frustration in my voice because I'm doing this out of a place of love.
I know.
I would love for St. Louis to come out of this and go, oh my God, look at, and be reintegrated back into society or whatever it would be, whatever that would look like.
But
it's not going to be the St. Louis Police Department that does it. It's not going to be Tashara. It's going to be the families. I'm telling you.
Can I add a little levity? One of our listeners goes, damn, she sounds like a Republican.
I am.
She is.
I am a liberal Republican.
What is? That's what Eric says he is.
I am a liberal Republican.
I'm with you. Me and you are on the same page.
And now I am going to tell you, truancy officers need to come back. So once we start taking these children, when I was young, my friends that went to St. Louis City Public Schools, they went to skip school. 2 or 3 times, it's over. We're knocking on your door. And then that's how you take the checks away. That's how you take the food stamps away.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
If you're not giving it to these children, because it's actually to support these kids, then guess what? If you want to sit and smoke crack all day, then it's time to stop. It's over.
Yeah.
So your child is going to be taken. Either straighten up and fly right.
Yeah.
It's no partying
What do you think about private school systems and a voucher? What if I gave this family a voucher? If this school district is failing you, here's a voucher to go to whatever school you want.
I know. Don't give it a voucher. You know what I think?
What?
I think that they need to get off of their butts.
The public school system?
Public school system. Get off of your butts. Stop selling the buildings. Bring back truancy officers. You want to put some of that money into something?
Mm-hmm.
Bring back truancy officers. Put some of that money into these schools, and you're going to get up and you're going to learn responsibility. And if you want to kill somebody, if you still don't understand what's going on, you want to kill somebody, young kids, go to the military.
Yeah.
Enlist them in the military.
Mandatory military. I like that.
They will be the best soldiers ever.
You have great ideas, Nicole, just like Eric, just like Tabitha do. Somebody has to implement them. In the city of St. Louis, many of the things that you're talking about sounds to me that rests at the footsteps of one Tashara Jones, St. Louis mayor. please describe that situation. Would that be her responsibility to do this?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's as I said last time, I think it's Tashara Jones. I think it's the police that has to come together. I think that.
What do you mean come together?
I think they all need to.
They need to be
one conference room.
Yes.
And say, how can we fix this problem?
Amen.
Now, I have X amount of dollars. I can put this into the educational system. I think the St. Louis City Public Schools, the administrators, and I can get truancy officers part-time.
She's not doing that, though.
But it needs to happen.
We all agree with that, but she's putting that
happen.
money towards more social issues than she is the public school.
And she'll never do. Will she? Will she ever come around? I personally, I don't think she will. And you know what the problem I worry about, Nicole, going back to something you said earlier, is the people who could fight for the city aren't fighting for the city because it's too easy to turn the other way. And I think I'm the only one outside of you in this room who's actually lived in St. Louis City.
Yeah.
I lived there for probably 10 years collectively between South City and downtown St. Louis. But even me and where I lived wasn't as bad as some of the bad areas are. And I really, really don't think that the majority of Americans, especially people who live in the St. Louis region, even know what it's really like in the city.
They don't.
Because until you've lived in some of these areas, until you have experienced a night, until you've slept there and been there and got to know the community, we're all just guessing. We have to count on someone like you to tell us how it really is.
That's not fair because you can watch the morning news.
No,
and
you can't. No, you can't.
And you can go.
Listen,
No, you
my
can't.
best friend was killed in front of me. His mother was a drug addict. Okay. We were 16 years old. I'll never forget this. This always resonates with me.
Right.
All right. He was killed because of a gang war. You know, where I lived at was the roughest part of St. Louis City. It doesn't even exist anymore, really. The horseshoe is gone. You know, you couldn't even get a ride home from work. It's the houses are gone. It was one way in, one way out.
Right.
You know, and we're walking out of the store and it was Bloods where I was at. I couldn't wear anything blue. Nothing blue.
Wow.
No shade.
Or you'll get shot.
Or I would get shot.
Wow.
So
Bloods were red, Crips were blue.
and it was I know it was a blue grayish car, and sometimes we get the wrong people too. But I can't tell you in the line of fire. The only thing I know is my friend pushed me back in the store. We were walking out and he was shot up in front of me.
And it happens daily here in the city. It's crazy.
Young kids.
Right.
But my best friend comes from a mother. You know, he came from a mother that was a drug addict.
Right.
I moved over there with my mom, you know, after she left my dad, and I would catch him taking our food, you know, he would literally, we had a garage and I would catch him like getting my food every time. Like my mom would make me go empty the trash out, you know, every day after dinner. And here I am, I come from a stable home and I'm very close to my aunts and my uncles and my grandparents. And we're shopping at Deerbergs and Straub's. And I don't know this poverty, you know, but this is somebody that lives in the back of me. And he became my best friend. He didn't know how to read. He didn't know how to write. I started teaching him how to read. I started teaching him how to write. He became my very best friend. And he wanted to help his siblings.
Right.
And he really wanted to do better. And we're 16 years old and he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just from a drive-by. So these are mental health is on the rise with these young kids. This is what they go through, and actually, it's worse. We had a little bit of a heart after the Crip blood thing.
Is that still going on? By the way,
no. This is
there's 100 gangs now.
This is
block by block.
Territorial survival. I don't like you war. You know, even me as a grown woman, I feel like I'm always under attack as a Black woman in business. This is a war that we have to stop here. It's too many kids that are seeing gunfire. It's too many kids that are hating each other. It's too many adults that are displaying this. And my culture, this is not who we are.
Yeah.
No matter if we were poor or not, this is not who we are. And I wanted to come on this show to tell anyone that's Black, this isn't who we are. And they know this isn't who we are. Our grandparents and great-grandparents are rolling over in their graves.
Yeah, that's true. So what is step number one? Let's say we all agree where we want St. Louis to become. And we want it to be a diverse community.
I'm not going to give up on St. Louis. And I will work
No.
with any politician. I will lead a camp because I'm not going to give up on St. Louis City.
No.
We're
I think
always running.
Everybody wants to bring St. Louis. Nobody in this region doesn't. The governor does. What is step one? What if it's
Step
like
one is get Tashara Jones, senators, police officers, St. Louis City Public Schools, aldermen and women. And I'm not talking about a BS conversation. I'm not talking about pointing fingers.
Yeah.
I'm talking about solutions. We don't come out of that room until solutions.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear any like BS.
Yeah.
Get down to the bottom of it. People that want to help. Don't cast people out. And the first step is get these schools together. Let these children know all this plan that you're doing. And send an attack on the parents. If you want to play, if you want to drop these kids off at night to go party and you know it's wrong, and you know they shouldn't be in this building, then you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
You want to lock somebody up, lock them up because they are the examples.
It sounds like you say that it starts with education, money somehow going into these schools.
Because the homes are
truancy of-
broken.
Because
They're
the homes are
couch
broken.
surfing.
The city's broke, isn't it?
The city just got some money. And if you want to put some money somewhere, we already know we got dilapidated houses, okay? We already know
That money has not been assessed for schooling, though, and it hasn't
needs
been
to be.
assessed for police.
It needs to be.
It's
It needs to
been-
be assessed for truancy officers. Get out of bed right now. If you got to knock on every door, do an assessment. They just went down, the Board of Aldermen and Women, do an assessment of the households. Who's living in these households or children in these households? You're going to get up and you're going to go to school.
Yeah.
Because St. Louis City Public Schools actually has some good teachers.
Yeah.
I work with some of them. They do.
They care. They are
They
teachers
do. They
that care.
And they're drained and they're not getting paid enough.
Why did you not give politics a shot anymore?
Amen.
Is it because you busted your butt for the veterans? I mean, you can't do what you do for the veterans and go over to the city and try to help the city. But I know at one point in time when I first met you, you had maybe a goal to run for mayor.
Everybody wants me to run because I feel like.
I mean, but would it be something you'd want to do?
I feel like some of the leaders aren't mature enough for the conversations that I'm going to bring.
Right. Well, here's a question.
But it is something I want to do.
But what you're talking about, it flies in the face of what Cori Bush pushes, right? I mean, if you were to run for representative, St. Louis representative,
I would run for Congress.
You would have to literally get in her face and say, what you're doing is killing this place.
I would run for Congress.
Okay. How do you,
did you just say Congress, not mayor?
If I ran, I would run for Congress.
so you'll run right against her then?
I'll run against anybody.
Yeah. So how do you say
It's
you're
politics. It's not personal.
well, how do you I'm sorry, I don't want to be mean, but she is just not the brightest person on the planet to push a defund the police mentality in a place that needs more police. How do you run against that? Because it seems like you're in an uphill battle to run that what we're talking about here
And
in
I
St.
think
Louis.
that's why I haven't ran for office because I want to make sure that the citizens of St. Louis are mature enough to actually see what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that they're beginning to see what's going on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take some pushing. But I think that they're turning. I think that they are beginning to see.
How did Kim Gardner get such a great
know?
reputation down there?
Again, we have to make, we got to look beyond. We have this black or white thing. It's black or white. Black, we've always had this, it's a black or it's a white issue. This is not a black or white issue, what's going on here. Some of it is, but majority of it is a socioeconomic issue.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is a crime issue. And this has nothing to do with black or white.
Mm-hmm.
This has something to do with responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Well, wouldn't it be nice if Cori Bush came out and said, I love St. Louis. I want to help it out. And this isn't a black or white issue. We need to get
that's not going to happen.
We all need to. It would be nice. It would be nice because honestly, I get people who look at me and say, "You're from the city. Why do you even deal with Republicans?" And honestly, I told them it's none of their business what I deal with. Either you with me or you're against me.
Yeah,
they'd be in a better place with you.
But I think Republicans are with you. There, not one Republican, representative, senator that I know doesn't want to help St. Louis. But it's almost like but you got to help yourself before we can help you as well. There's no team.
Well,
effort.
Republicans, I'll tell you what Republicans can do. If you really want to, if we want a good solution, here's the deal. Because Republicans got the money and the power of this state.
Yeah.
So if Tashara's not going to give up the money, let's sit down with some Republicans and let's talk about how we can get this money for truancy officers, step one. And when I was in St. Petersburg, Florida on Central Avenue, it's a police officer on every corner.
Makes a big difference.
They call that F around and find out. They're not playing. That's what they said.
Yeah.
And we need to put the pedal to the metal and you F around and you find out.
Yeah.
What about all of the buildings? You know, there was just a report that was released on our local news talking about thousands of abandoned homes and buildings in the St. Louis City area. And as Diane just mentioned on the comment line, most of the owners don't even live in St. Louis. Some of them are big corporations. Some of them are universities. And
Cut
you know
down.
which houses I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And these homes are empty. They're used for crime. They find bodies in them all the time. No one's doing a darn thing with all that city money to tear these houses down.
There's abandoned homes. There are homes that should be abandoned. And that's why I said doing an assessment, because there are landlords that are that's taking money.
Yeah.
The landlord I'm fighting right now, my veterans are coming in saying it's raining down into their home, into their apartments.
Yeah.
Same building I was in.
You could turn St. Louis around very quickly.
The city has to stop. So guess what? We got to start with that.
I wish you'd run for
F
mayor.
around and find out.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's no
Truancy
chance.
officers, get up.
There's no chance you'd run for mayor, huh?
There is no chance.
Have you ever talked to or found out a plan
I'm
that
not in St. Louis City, so I just have
they're right
business
there
in the city.
that's what I would do the same thing, but I don't live down there either.
I think
they would vote for me in a second, don't you think?
No.
I mean, I think that people will vote for me in the city, but I think that I don't.
You'd
think,
serve us better as a country in Congress, because then you're not helping just St. Louis City.
Correct.
It's actually helping.
then
the
who's gonna
entire
help
country.
out
No,
St.
we
Louis
need
City?
some help in St. Louis City.
What I would love to do is I would love to work on some sort of a committee in the city, but they have to accept me, and I don't think that I would be accepted well because you know what I mean?
They even want to fix the problems? I mean,
I don't
they
think
even
they
wanna
want to
fix
fix the problem.
Can we force
Because you have
them
an
to do
R
it?
next to your name.
And what exactly? And instead of looking at me, but now there are a lot of people that do accept me in the city. I'm not going to say they don't, but all this jealousy girl stuff, all this mean woman stuff, mean man stuff. I'm gonna get after you. It has to stop. We actually need to be in a room. Everyone needs to be in a room that want to fix the city. And I think truancy officers and getting with these kids and saying, you know what, you're gonna get up every day.
Yeah,
that's the first step. Get them off the streets.
Yeah,
wear them out. Bring back all our sports that we had. We used to go play in the parks. We had sports in our parks. There are a lot of parks in the city. So you want to talk about something for them to do? We had 2 track teams covering the entire city of St. Louis.
Yeah.
We all did that. And we had Matthew Dickey's and we had everything.
Yep.
The legacies, a lot of them have died. A lot of them have passed, right?
Well, it's got replaced with social media and guns.
Well, guess what? I don't care about social media and guns. Get up. It's 7:00. That truancy officer is going to be at your door at 8:00. If you're not ready, and if school starts at 8:30, you better be ready at 8:00, and you better be walking to school.
But immigrants come first. There's no homes for those kids anymore.
And
Sadly.
one thing we didn't talk about is the mass exodus from the city and the business and financial aspect. If you can move from the city, you're moving. You know that.
Yeah, but there are some people that are so St. Louis City that have not moved, and it's pockets like the Grove and other places where they have not moved. And
yeah, but the Grove's different because you actually have people investing in the Grove, and the Grove, for whatever reason, is safer.
You know
now,
why?
I'm
but
not
it wasn't
saying it's
always
safe.
that way.
You know why? Because they have a private charitable company, Park East, that's running the Grove, and he does phenomenal. Abdul Kabbalah. He is phenomenal. I just went to one of their parties.
So you have to get your own security?
So in the Grove, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And that area has not always been safe. I have family members who moved to the Grove area back in the 1950s.
Mhm.
And crazily enough, my grandma and all of her sisters bought houses next to each other in the Grove, what is now the Grove. It wasn't the Grove. It used to be Tower Grove.
Yeah.
And there went through a lot of times when it was very dangerous. My family still lives on that street.
And I said safer. I didn't say 100% safe. I mean, nowhere is.
It's so much better now than what it was
But look
10
at
years
if the
ago.
Grove can turn around,
Yes.
and they call Blaine and all those streets the dark side. If
It
they
can
could, if
happen.
it could turn around, that is proof that a community that it can happen. But we got to stop letting these slumlords. We got to stop slumlords are number one. You don't just get to come in here and buy things and you don't do anything to them. You treat people like crap. They're bending over backwards to pay your rent. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you can, the population of the Grove is people that actually put their money into the Grove. And I'll tell you, the population in North St. Louis City might be dead, but my mom still lives in North St. Louis City. My grandparents and my mom's street is immaculate. Now the surroundings, Walnut Park area, some of those streets are immaculate because those are old school minority families that actually care. You would not think you're in North St. Louis City.
Yeah.
And so we need to bring that back. And the way we bring that back, if my mom sees you outside of her house, my mom will tell you, they're doing drugs. Nope. Call the police.
Yeah.
Bye. And the police comes.
Yeah.
You have to bring the community back. And the way to get the community back, people will fall into place. They will fall into place. So if you got 7 homes that are bad on a street that contains 14 homes,
Right.
those 7 people
Does that happen?
are good, it can happen once you start putting authority.
So
People don't like authority, but they assimilate to authority.
Here's what I was talking to. I can't remember which one it was. I was talking to somebody, and they said that the dynamic is, if, like what you said, if there is a gang member in one of those homes and they're like scattered all over the apparently, they will come after you. So if they know that you're the one that's always complaining about them, that gang member with his buddies.
But how do you change? How did Gandhi change? He started a movement.
Right.
So what has to start is a movement. So you gang member in house number 12, and it's 12 houses on this street. The 11 homes. And when they start seeing truancy officers and they start seeing people come in those neighborhoods, one thing I could tell you about neighborhoods, especially our neighborhoods, we talk. And everybody on every other street is going to know what's going on. So the north side should be called F around and find out.
Right.
The south side, F around and find out. We're not playing.
Yeah.
The game time is up.
Right.
We can't even, we're 290 officers short in the city of St. Louis.
We can hire truancy officers to start. Part-time.
That would be great if we could. But the problem is you've got to have money. Money has to be there, number one.
Let go of that money that we just won.
Exactly. Then money has to be allocated, and it's not.
Yeah.
And everything you say can be done, but it's not being done.
Well,
and I do believe it starts with one person.
Any of my friends that are on here that are aldermen and women in the city of St. Louis, because the president of the board of aldermen, president of the board of aldermen, she can. The aldermen and women can put something into play, and they can actually give it to the mayor.
Yeah, I know that, but those aldermen are connected to Tashara. You know that.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, but most of them.
Well, I'll tell you something. I think that
I know how the politics works.
I think when it changed, when they went down from 28 to 14, I do see a little change. I see some independent thinkers and some independent minds. I hope that they are actually listening to me.
Yeah.
And maybe they can take that idea.
Yeah, but you're a bad Republican.
Don't take that from him.
Hey, guess what?
I'm
Call
just
me
saying
what you want.
that's what she
love
deals.
I'm
That's what she.
so St. Louis.
That's
Straight
what
up,
Nicole-
word up.
I'm glad you have answers. It's just, I feel that it's so unfortunate that the city's leaders are going against it and doing the opposite of everything you're saying, because the money that they were just awarded, they're actually going to be handing that money out to the families that you're talking about who have the truant kids.
I don't think that money should be handed to the families. I think
No.
that $500
I'm with
could have
you.
been should have been handed to a truancy officer.
I agree.
I think that it's time, and if you're any type of parent, regardless to what, I remember being a young kid, my mom always wanted me to do better than her.
We talk about negative crap on this show all the time about St. Louis. Let's talk. What's some positive stuff going on? I know there's got to be something.
I'll say that the positive thing that I see in the city is the Grove.
Okay, the Grove is an example, right?
I see, I see us bringing concerts. I see people trying to come together, but there are no answers.
Mhm.
I do think that going down to 14 aldermen and women, it's good. And I do see some independent thinkers, some independent minds, but I also think that it's time out. Yeah, we got St. Louis City Soccer. We got Ballpark Village.
Soccer, right.
Katie's Pizzeria and Pasta. That's phenomenal
yep,
down at Ballpark Village. But why do we
Ballpark Village.
to have these pockets
Yes.
when St. Louis City is for all of St. Louis City?
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to understand. You might come down to Katie's Pizzeria. You might go to Ballpark Village and to the soccer stadium, but you come back home.
Right.
And then it doesn't become your problem anymore.
Exactly.
But it is your problem when you go down there, because we all visit and we frequent down there, and you're getting everything for free.
Yeah.
You can go to our botanical gardens, you can do all of that.
Right.
So we utilize everything in St. Louis City, but we don't want it to be our problem. And it is our problem, because if people continue to be hungry, and I want everyone to listen to this, because I am from St. Louis City. I am from impoverished areas. If people in this city and this state continue to be hungry, they're going to start coming into the county.
Right.
And we do need to fix this collectively as a whole, and not point the fingers, and actually start with one solution, the first solution. And I do hope that the elected officials down there, they're listening. I hope that the state senators are listening. Because if not, more innocent lives are going to be taken. And I'm not just talking about black on black crime. This is a black, white, Hispanic, it's my credentialer. She just emailed me and said one of her clients that for years, she's so glad that I moved from downtown.
Yeah.
He's deceased. He got killed downtown.
Yeah. But it's to your point, this isn't the county's problem to fix, because we have.
It's not the county to fix, but I think that the county can have a good input. It's not the county's problem to fix, but I'll tell you something. It's going to become the county's problem.
It could.
If we don't get this under control. This is like the wild Midwest.
Yeah.
It is definitely. I don't think the county needs to pay the money necessarily to fix it, but we're not. Most people in the county aren't even aware of how people are living right here in their own states.
But the people with money understand what's going on, and the people with money don't have confidence in leadership in St. Louis City.
They don't.
No.
And Nicole knows what I'm talking about. And if they don't have confidence in the city, they're not going to invest money or try to bring companies.
Right.
That starts
Absolutely
with
true.
the safety aspect. The problem with the safety aspect is the fact that you have to start with kids, as Nicole said. So it's almost as if and then you have to have a deterrent with the court system, and you have to have 5 or 6 different elements working together, which is what Nicole says. The meeting has to happen to take place, but then there has to be an influx of money before any of this happens. Is it possible? Yes. Is it unlikely, in my humble opinion? Yes, unfortunately. And I hate the fact that I feel that way until you have leaders that say, unless it was Nicole saying, today we change and we're starting right now, because we don't hear that from leadership who you've just called out publicly. Thank you. Going from state senators, aldermen, the mayor, and anybody else that has a say.
It could all be fixed.
Yeah.
All of it. Every last bit of it.
It could
It could be fixed.
If the Grove can be fixed, if Central West End can cut down on their crime.
Yeah.
If these pockets of St. Louis City can be fixed, okay? Tower Grove South, Botanical Heights. Because you know what? You know what's coming in? Unfortunately, it's like white and black families. that are coming in saying this is a good deal on a home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fix it up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send my kid to private school, and I'm going to take over this neighborhood.
Is that bad?
It's good.
Yeah, that's good.
So what I'm saying is the neighborhoods can be taken over.
Yeah.
So when the crime comes, as I said, people assimilate to your culture, to you, to your neighborhood. So when you go down Botanical, the Botanical Gardens, and you see Magnolia and all these streets, you know what? Those people have taken over those neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. We want to be able to go to Tower Grove Park without a shootout.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And they made sure that it was going to happen.
Yeah, white people are moving into the city. They're moving into the Grove. They're paying $300,000-$400,000 for a house in the Grove. And same in Lafayette Square, and same on Magnolia, right there that lines Tower Grove Park.
So why can't we, something is close to those areas? The question that I want to ask all these politicians is, do you really want to fix it?
Where do you live right now?
I live in Brentwood.
Okay, Brentwood. St. Charles. There's a one word that keeps coming in my mind when it comes to what
just
you're talking about.
Just west of St. Louis for our national listeners, if we have other people outside of the area listening right now.
Tolerate. Our community where I live doesn't tolerate crime. When there is crime, it is so publicized. There are so many police officer bulletins. The mayor responds to it. It is like the difference between our community in West County or South County or the counties, period, is we don't tolerate a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They don't tolerate, our community doesn't tolerate. There's always a fight about critical race theory being in our school districts. They don't tolerate it. The parents, they get up out of their chairs and they fight for their kids. So the one thing that keeps coming in my mind is, why doesn't St. Louis parents, why do you tolerate it?
Well, so this is why I say education has to come into play, because if we don't fix the educational system in St. Louis City Public Schools, guess what? There is no more DSEG program. That's dissolved.
I was part of that DSEG program.
Only like 2 or 3 schools.
Yeah.
So 2 or 3 school districts. So if you don't have that, and like you said, we have families. You have families where you're at. The generational curse, those curses continue to play over and over again. So when you come from a crackhead mother, and then you start selling drugs, you want better, but guess what? That becomes your lifestyle. And then your kids see this, and it continues to go. The cycle continues to go. So why don't we just stop that cycle and get these kids in school? And this is for the politicians. This is for the state leaders, the elected officials, state reps, state senators, aldermen and women, everyone, mayors.
Set up the meeting and let us know. We'll cover it for
Get these kids off of their butts.
Do you have Tashara's number?
I don't.
I'll call her right now.
I do. I have her
and
number.
Vic will give it to you.
Get them in.
No, I'll call her right now.
We'll try to. We're not going to call her right now, but I'm
going to fix this right now.
And someone just said, "It's damned if you do, damned if you don't." You're racist if you're trying to fix it.
I'm done with that racist word, by the way.
I don't
this has nothing to do with racism
ever
again.
Ever again. When you're here,
everybody.
Yeah.
Since you're here, what do you think about this too, Nicole? Supreme Court just rejected affirmative action in ruling on universities using race for easier admissions to colleges.
And what that will mean is that when they're looking at an application, the application will no longer state what race a person is.
It will have no say in college admissions. Somebody sued Harvard. A group initially sued Harvard. This goes all the way back to 2014 because they were selecting people to go of certain races.
Primarily Asian.
And not on the basis of their merit.
Well, I think that's a good thing, because sometimes race does come into play. And it doesn't matter what my score is my score. Admit me or not admit me. Now, if you want to get me into your database once I'm admitted, and you want to calculate how many, Asians we have, because you have to use race on some things. I think that you should run in a business.
A human being is a human being.
I think inside of your database, if it's something like a college, because just say that you have 60% of kids that are failing in this math class. You know what I mean? And you start looking at, although, this kid excelled in all these other, classes, these courses, but this kid didn't. And then it becomes, what schools did they go to? You know what I mean? You have to get to the bottom line of something. Now, you can use it in your database. You can use it for study. You can use it for comparison, but I don't think it should be for,
and that's what
my admission.
There's a lot of people. I don't think so, because there's a lot of white dads that pay a lot of money to send their white kids to white private schools.
That doesn't mean they excel, though.
Exactly. And I think that I think that every kid has the ability. Chinese and Japanese people, they don't get involved with any of this crap. They focus like a laser for their kids.
They do.
You don't even hear it. They're just going to medical school. They're going to research schools. They're going to mathematical schools. You don't even hear about them. It's just the way that the parents live, the way that the family lives, and they just go to Harvard. They go to Michigan. They go to Missouri, and they just focus like a laser beam because that's what their dad and their mom tell them to do.
But even if
it's cultural. It's a cultural thing. I think,
and they'll still make it in, even with the Supreme Court decision.
Italians are going to be a lot different than Chinese and Japanese,
and that's why I said you could use it for compare. Like if you see a group, like kids are taught different. Schools are taught totally different. Like they are. I can say that I got I could have the same textbook that my friends had that went to Sumner, but I can't say that I got the same education.
But it's not even that.
Exactly.
It's not even that. It's the. I think you could make way more money being an electrician, starting your own business. You could surpass anyone that goes to Harvard. If money is the issue, you can become an entrepreneur. You can become a janitor. You can become a plumber. You can do any of the technical schools.
So
might be the best thing.
Communications.
There you go.
Science.
Yeah.
I started at St. John's Mercy as a patient care tech.
Mm-hmm.
Put myself through college.
Yeah.
Scholarship.
Because you wanted to do that, right?
Yeah. So you're right. And some people just have it and some people don't. But this is why I say you got to break those generational gaps, because my mom was a housekeeper. But my mom put me in front of some of the most prominent Jewish families, his families, period, prominent, running St. Louis.
Yeah.
And they see me now in my adult age. And, I always thank them, because a lot of these businesses that are running St. Louis, they have known me since I was a young girl, 9 years old. Yeah. She had me running around the chemical building. And the man was head of Commerce Bank, Judge Clyde Cahill, federal judges, attorneys, my godfathers, these are like my brothers to me. Mm-hmm. And so it does matter. And this is something that if you're not taught this, if you're not, if this is not displayed to you, this is something that people that live in areas with well manicured lawns and they have their families, these young kids, they want to do better.
Well, it's like this.
Even have
you have to be able to walk through that community and point at a kid. What do you want to do? No, real fast. Don't even think about it. What do you want to do? I would like to be a pilot. Parks, let's go. And get them involved early so they know, because college, a 4-year undergrad degree is worthless. It is worthless because you can make.
It can be worthless.
It is worthless.
Not always worthless.
It depends what you do.
Yes.
You're right. But you get them on the path thinking, what is it you want to do? You want to be a football player? Let me tell you the odds of you making it in football.
Well,
what else do you want to do?
The problem with education for college is the wrong questions are asked. Too many times you're asking kids, where are you going to college? Instead of asking,
let them pick.
What are you going to college to study?
That's such a 1980s question. It's unbelievable. I'm going to Mizzou. I'm going to Southwest Missouri State University.
We need to ask kids what they're going to study.
Like I love communications. I love that. But guess what? I love healthcare.
Yeah.
I love politics. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And all three of them, they come together.
Yeah.
But kids have to, they want to be, they're hungry.
Yeah.
At a young age, they're hungry. And most of these young kids in the city, they're hungry.
Yeah.
And getting a truancy officer for them, making them get up and making them see something else. You know, Clayton High School had a program where the kids would go down to Beaumont. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because you need to see the other side as well, living in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it is.
And kids couldn't understand, like, oh my God, they don't have this, they don't have that, they don't have books. Like you really appreciate what you have. But the kids from Beaumont said, oh, you know, God, you know, these kids are like the nerdy kids, but they know this and they know that. And that's how kids come together, and you break that racism thing, and you break that socioeconomic gap. Because just because I don't know how to eat properly and I don't do this in my home and I don't do that, I could have a friend that visited me from Clayton and he could teach me.
Well, it's like this.
We've got to get people in the schools. We can go back and forth all
It's
day
like
because
this.
I see a lot more of the kids in the city schools going to private schools in the city. Those kids are doing much, much better.
Metro.
And
because that's like
such
and a few charter schools. Not that all charter schools are great, but my point is public schools are way behind right now, Nicole, from what I see in the city.
They are, and we are way behind. Like the kids, the city of Atlanta, and I'm not trying to down my city, but those minority kids in the city of Atlanta, they got their stuff together.
Yeah.
And those parents,
I say we pay them. How about this? This is a radical thing, Vic. What do you think about this one? What if we pay the good people of St. Louis? If you can get your critical your critical thinking scores up, like math, English, science, what if you could say we're on this? If you can get all your scores up, we pay the communities. What if it was a monetary thing? We're all in this together, parents, kids. We'll pay the communities.
They're already getting paid to do absolutely nothing. Why would they need to do that?
Yeah, we can't.
No, I think we.
Sorry,
I think we need to pay truancy officers.
It's a commission to go and get and raise the scores, Vic. We're going to pay you commission.
Truancy officers. I think that we need to have a conversation. I do.
That's one place to start.
I think we need to have truancy officers make them get up, whether they like it or not. If you want to play, we're going to throw you in juvenile.
Before we have you on again, please announce you're running for mayor of St. Louis. Because we can continue to go back and forth and talk. And it starts there. You've given us some good insight. You know what? We'll continue to watch.
If I have $500,000 starting off, I will run.
We'll have to work on that.
You heard it
here. If you got anybody has some money
I know a lot of people will donate.
Yeah.
But if I had $500,000, I would.
I'll vote.
Nicole, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it. You're
Thank
awesome.
you.
Of course, we got to have you on more. We will when your schedule goes. Ours. Some specific things when it goes there, but most of our viewers, please go back if you have a chance, listen or read the comments, just so you can see how you do move people, Nicole, in regards to your points.
Well, I love St. Louis, and I would like to be, if not, I'm going to start a Missouri History Museum forum. I'm already speaking to them with a couple leaders, and I would like to start a forum where we can really hash out. Let's get these kids on the right track for next year. This crime has to stop.
Yeah,
Great
COVID's
point.
over.
Because
COVID's
I'm
over.
So St. Louis.
That's Nicole Jenkins. Lizzie Sparks has been taking care of the chat line. Lizzie, you've been rocking it. I've been watching you all day. We appreciate it. Pro Joe making us looking good as sound as we can. Eric Johnson, Tabitha Hassel, and Vic Faust. Guys, thanks for joining us for this podcast, June 29th. We'll be back again tomorrow. Have an awesome day, everybody.